People who let their mom count to 0. What happened after? She's currently on 1,125,899,906,842,624. I'll let you know if she ever gets there. Everything goes black and the last thing I see is my mother's slipper speeding toward me. She was bluffing. But only the first time. Alright. I'm coming in late here, but this reminded me of the time I went the distance with my mom. My whole life we've rarely argued, and during my entire upbringing we only had a few actual fights, all of which were 100% my fault. The point I'm making is that my mom is a really sweet, genuine person who did an amazing job raising 2 boys on her own. When I was 12 I had a bad day and got home in a mood. I wasn't quite looking for a fight per se, but I was being a crabby, snappy, negative jerk. Mom put up with it for a while and then had enough. I can't recall the catalyst, but she wanted me to do something and I refused. So the count came. 3, 2, and I interjected. 1. Bitch. There was a stunned silence for a moment and then she looked at me with rage in her eyes. I'm sorry. I pleaded, but I had crossed a line and punishment was coming. She moved so fast, like a blur, and I was frozen. I was taller than her, but she scooped me up, thrust me in a chair and told me to wait there. Her voice had both ice and heat. How is that possible? She came back with a bar of ivory soap which she jammed into my mouth. It was gross, with high notes of bitter soap taste but also a strange sickly sweetness that made me want to gag. And that's how I know that Dr. Pepper tastes like Robitussin with ivory soap. A splash of prune juice and carbonated water. I think I got grounded as well, but the fear she instilled really did the trick. Wooden spoon impact. Edit. I see a lot of people asking if I'm Italian, Irish, or even Polish. Nope. American. But the art of the wooden spoon was taught through many generations in our family. I'm just thankful I never got the belt. Pussies. My mom started at 0. I had my sister's Hello Kitty belt imprint left on my ass. Tried it once. She gave a defeated sigh. Then chuckled. Then she said something like, "You're getting too old." That was the day I became a man. I'll never forget my 32nd birthday. I'm gonna count again. 5, 4. My ears are still ringing. Seriously. I got a minor case of tinnitus. She started counting to negative numbers. Half of my respiratory organs were destroyed. Oh Lord, she comin'. This is Reddit, not a Ouija board. I'll never know. She got to 7 and, being the resident smartass, I said, "Oh cool. Showing off again. Mom? That went real well for me." She reset me to the factory settings. Not my mother. Bekwase, she rarely disciplined me and my siblings. But my grandma. Oh no. When I went to 0. I got her classic little old Asian lady move. A sock filled with pennies thrown at me at speeds I never thought possible. Shit hurted. Bold of you to assume that they are alive to tell their story. The chase of a lifetime that ended in a red-hot posterior. She yelled my name real loud. She slapped the soul out of my body and it ricocheted back in me. The chancla. Moms never get to 0. There's fractions out there you can't even imagine. She smiled and embraced me. "You've passed the test," she said. "You are a man now." The next day I woke up and I was a plumber with 20 years experience. The doctor diagnosed her with dyscalculia. I woke up in the back of a wagon heading to Skyrim. "You are fucking done," followed by my entire name, with emphasis on my middle, followed by an ass beating I still remember 15 years later. Weaklings. My mother would count after I was already whooped to give me time to stop crying or I'll be whooped again. You know what a Switch is. And I'm not talking about Nintendo. I never got in trouble. But my sister did. She let my mother count to 0. She just got shouted at. My sister ran upstairs crying. It hurt until 2005. My mom went from 0 to 60. The Big Bang. This is Alex's mother here posting. I'm posting on his behalf as I counted to 0. He did not survive. My mom counted up. And if I wasn't making moves, she suddenly became a sloth. ONAA. 2. You better move your butt. 2.5 FFFFFFF. I was a pussy. I never let her get to 3. I gotta say, the last time my mom ever tried to spank me I dove right between her legs. knocked her over, and ran like a fucking wild hog. I guess she realized then that she was too old for this lol. I used to not know what would happen when I counted to 10. My son has let me get there once. And it ended with me literally wrestling him into his pajamas and him going to bed without getting to read any books. He was very upset. And I felt like a terrible person. But he hasn't let me go past 7 since that day. 3, 2, 1, 0. The sound of a belt coming undone through the loops of pants frightened me. Your parents counted? I let her divide by 0 once. A black hole opened up and all hell asterisk broke loose. Asterisk heck. Sorry mom. I stupidly said. Wow, I didn't know you could count. And she beat the soul out of me. I saw everything that had ever happened in any place ever all at the same time. I saw every great extinction event in reverse and the thunderous slaps had fucking reverb. She beat me like a sexually frustrated teen beats their meat. She hit me so hard I saw new colors. Her grip was like a jaguar's jaws on a gazelle's neck. There was no escape. I got a privilege taken away. After that would come immediate buyer's remorse. I'd do whatever it was she had wanted me to do in the first place, cry, and beg. And I never, ever got her to reverse her decision. My mom's a tough cookie. And it took me way too long to catch on lol. I guess I wasn't exactly the brightest child. Ask my oxygen tank. No one who let their mom get to 0 is around to tell the tale. I died. Am I the only one whose mom counted to 3? She chased me and I pallet stunned her. Array out of bounds exception. I had 4 bones broken. Few bruises and I am missing couple of teeths. It wasn't really my mom but more of my dad. He will count from 3 down and when I started being a print I will sit there and stare blankly at him. When he made it to 0 he started to take off his belt and after that. Well, there is a reason I was the fastest runner in my class. I'm typing this from the grave. This is what happened. Asian mom. So you have chosen death. It went to 0 once thinking I could be a smartass and I saw the stars and stripes. Never pulled that ever again. I was an absolute tool when I was about 16. And my mom pulled the counting method on me for the first time in like 10 years. I defied her because I thought I was so cool. She never hit me. But she did start telling me everything I've done to break her heart. And man, I became a better person after that. I hope I'm making her proud. I wish I never hurt her. She is an absolute saint. My grandma was the sweetest woman in the world. Until you did something stupid. We grew up in the South. And she had this big-ass weeping willow tree in the front yard. She would prolong the experience by making us, me and my 2 brothers, go pick our own weapons of torture from the willow tree and clean the leaves off. She called them switches. Often, she would have me go pick the switch from the tree instead of my brothers. I was the youngest. She died when I was only 6 or 7. And I didn't understand that longer willow vines equals more pain, so I'd pick the longest vines possible. 'Cause I enjoyed the sound they made when I swung them through the air. She could crack those willow vines off your ass like a damn bull whip. If any of us laughed at our brother getting it, she'd always say, "I'll give you something to laugh about," and proceed to alternate blows between us. We didn't find it funny anymore after that usually. She suddenly had buttons for eyes and was the other mother. I don't know, I have no recollection of anything after that through the following week. In Austria mums count to 3. There is a small cemetery next to Vienna. There rest the brave who heard the 3. Some of those kids are probably no longer with us. Got my ass whooped. A thrashing with the thickest, heaviest leather belt she owned. Happened all too often. The bruises fade but memories last forever. I have 2 kids of my own now and in 13 years of parenting haven't resorted to violence once. You guys got a countdown? I got instant death. Shit escalated back from 0 to 100 real quick. WTF? Who counts to 0? Everyone knows when mum counts to 3 life is over. But if she gives you a 2.5, you may have a chance if you move fast. Short story time. Raised in an Asian household, near Tiger Mom all that stuff. Can't even remember what it is exactly I did to set her off but she turns on her usual rage face and starts staring me down. Next thing I know she tells me to go to her room and grab her leather belt and that I have 5 seconds to get it or else shit is gonna happen. For the first time in my life, I decided to take a stand. First I told her I didn't want to because I'll just get hurt but the countdown continued and by the time she reached 1, I laid down a flat and calm. No, she tried to hide it, but I can tell she was absolutely stunned. You know that saying, "I wasn't thinking that far ahead"? If you were to translate that into a facial expression, then you'll get her face at that moment. After about another 5 seconds of silence, she just told me to go to my room. I learned 2 things that day. It might not always pay off, but it's always better to try and stand up for yourself. Lock your doors because the fight ain't ever over. She threw a flashbang into my room, then proceeded to whip me with her belt. Did I mention she was military? Well, I'm currently typing this from my dungeon. Please send help. I don't have much time. Oh shit. Here she comes. Help. Note. This is a joke. Please don't call 911. I did get my ass beat with the chancla though. My mom stopped the car and told little me to get out, so I did. She drove 20 feet up the road, but to little me I thought she was driving away forever. I definitely stopped being a little shit after that. And never forgot. I think I was about 7. And she never really punished my siblings and I beyond grounding. So I must have been really bad that day lol. Do that to my wife. Ends with tickles. My mum once was smacking me with a wooden spoon. She smashed me over the ass so hard it snapped and the head went flying off, so I turned around, laughed at her, and asked, "Is that all you got?" with a shit-eating grin. She then went and got a big-ass metal spoon. She never does. It goes 2, 1 1/2, 1 1/3, 1 1/4 and so on.